Russel Brand has been demonstrating extremely clever debate skills over the years, and it seems almost impossible to crush him into an argument. In this video, you are going to learn a few of his language tricks to always get the edge over people, even in a crowded room. Of course, in Russel Brand there is not just language. He's extremely charismatic, his nonverbal behaviors are shining through everything he says. However, being into neuro-linguistic programming, there were a few language tricks he is using I really wanted to point out because they are really interesting. The small debate here is about the political setup around economics, and you may have seen this clip from his channel if you follow him. This is a pretty interesting one because both people, him and the other person here, are very smart and know their topic, which is uncommon in debates. Quite often there is one smart individual and a bunch of idiots on the other side. Here we have two smart individuals, which makes the whole conversation way more interesting.
Because people, do you know what, Candice? 90% of people that are rich, do you know why they're rich? They was born rich.
Okay, I can tell you something. I think that economic disparity creates that feeling, but a fundamental understanding in economics can help you
Do you know that
conquer
the most people that are rich are born rich? It's not like there's a tiny minority of people that are like you that come from a poor background and manage to overcome it. And this is what's a problem I've noticed with a lot of great people, is they sort of believe that their greatness is something that can be replicated, and I don't think it can.
One little thing to point out here before getting into the actual language breakdown of what he does. In many cases, he's surrounded by other people, and he is a pretty charming and likable person in general. Quite often, maybe due to the years as a stand-up comedian, he used to always charm people, compliment them, have some likable behaviors, being nice with others. The more people like you in a group, the less likely you will be beaten into an argument. If you take a person who is into a room of 5 people that like you, if you are with 5 people who like you and 1 who doesn't like you, versus a room where there are 5 people who hate you and 1 who likes you, even if you're smarter, even if you are the best debater on earth, even if you have better arguments, you have more charisma, you will just get beaten in most cases because there are too many people who hate you anyway. He's so good at setting up the whole frame, probably unconsciously. I really don't think he does that on purpose. I think it is just intuitive. He's charming people all the time so much that I think in many cases he gets the edge over in a debate because many people inside a room take his stance, even just unconsciously. So those things being put aside, let's get into the actual language breakdown.
So I believe in the individual, you don't. That's our fundamental differences.
But the primary goal of the individual should be to serve the community.
I do not believe that the primary goal of
what
an
do you
individual,
think the primary goal
of the individual
once an individual
feels
serve
that they
the
have
individual?
Served, so you're discounting the human spirit.
So I will use the Sleight of Mouth chart developed by Robert Dills to explain this conversation from a purely linguistic aspect. So again, I'm not really taking stance on the content because I think both of them have valid points here and there. But from a linguistic perspective, what's happening here is she's going into the consequence aspect of the conversation. You don't believe in individual potential, also you're discounting the human spirit. Those are consequences. The smart thing that Russel is doing here is to not stay there. Into an argument, if you stay where the attacker is placing you, you are in a position, in a vulnerable position of being beaten. He's shifting into model of the world, that is how we call it here, model of the world, by explaining his moral values, the values that he stands for behind this topic. He doesn't just argue on facts or counter-argument. Most people just refute in those debates with another counter-argument and another counter-argument and another counter-argument. It is just leading nowhere. What he's doing here is shifting the perspective instead of staying into, oh no, I don't discount the human spirit, because that would be the least effective response here. He's shifting into the moral values. He has that back up his statements, his claims.
Help
Are you
people.
mental? Ink says the richest 15 people on the planet have got as much accumulative wealth as the poorest 5 billion.
But
that's an excess.
No.
That's an excess.
Okay, excuse me. First and foremost, you're talking about literally 0.00001% of the world is what you're talking about. Okay,
Let's get 'em.
And what are they preaching? What do they want? socialism so that nobody else has the opportunity to become what they've become. They're the ones that are
They're
pushing
not
forward.
preaching socialism.
Yes,
That's not
they
real
are.
socialism. Well,
Are you kidding? George Soros doesn't want socialist policies. Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, doesn't want socialist policies. They want to make sure that no one else has the opportunity to get to where they got.
We need to discuss our language, me and you, because
We do.
Here's what my socialism looks like. Take Jeff Bezos' wealth from him, except for a reasonable stipend for him to live on. Something like, he can have 10 million a year or something. Tax Amazon to the ground.
So the rich people pay for 85% of all of the taxes. You think they should pay for even more?
Do you think
That's fact. That's fact. Yes.
Don't look at me with
I'm telling
that's
you,
fact
that's a fact.
face.
The top 10% pay for 85% of all the taxes. When people say they're going to raise their taxes more, I'm just like, how much more? Should we just say just pay for all the taxes?
I say this.
This part is, to me, the most important of everything you can see in this video. Maybe you have a different point of view, but I think it is the most interesting. Because basically, she made a point here. She went what we call changing the frame size, which means that she brought attention from his perspective to the moral values that the people have to fight for. She shifted to changing the frame size, other people involved in the situation by using certain names, people she knows of, and using actual numbers, facts, things that can be verified, which is a classic technique in debate. Anybody could have guessed that anyway, even without sleight of mouth. It is just to express that here he made a really smart thing, which is to, again, not react in a bad way. Even if she made a point, the least effective answer, which is what most people do, would have been to try to yell the loudest. No, you're wrong! Like, yell louder, because when people start getting insecure or vulnerable, they start getting more aggressive. On the opposite, what did he do here? He did not get aggressive. He asked the question, are you sure about that? But not from a perspective of, oh, I know better than you. From a perspective of, okay, I could be wrong. Let's see. Let's question her. And that is the smartest thing in a debate. When you don't have the absolute truth, when you can't right away make all your claims being verified, or at least not as much as the other person on that specific idea and concept, question. Specifically, can you tell me more about that? And let's see if really you're right, maybe you're wrong, but let's see. That is a much smarter technique than just trying to refute with another fact, another fact, another fact. Let's question and see where we go from here.
I wonder about sort of, look, I wonder, because you could say, where do you draw the line? Because look at me, I've got money now, I'm not poor anymore, and I'm not going, right, I'll just take everything that's, the thing that I do agree with when I see like sort of right-wing commentators talk, like they talk about people that are, in inverted commas, from the left, and they go, well, why don't you put some refugees in your house? Why don't you give up your money? And the reason is because people are selfish, and in all of us, there is a kind of battle between, like some of my impulses, Candice, are, I just want pleasure and fun, and I don't care about anything except myself. That's in me. Mm-hmm. That's in me, and it's strong. But I personally think I don't feel good when I live that way. There are consequences for me, and there are consequences for others. So I kind of want to live within systems that encourage collective and communal values. That instead
theft. We're talking about theft.
No, we're not talking about
demanding that people give up their stuff is theft. But it sounds pretty when you say encourage, incentives. No, when the government comes and demands that I give to someone else, that's theft.
You keep translating what I'm saying.
I'm helping you.
No, you're not helping me.
He's talking about theft.
You're translating what I'm saying into rhetoric that you can argue with.
So yeah, in classical debate practices, this is called mischaracterization, I think, when you call one thing another thing in the hope of getting the person stuck into your ideology, into your argument, into your statements or claims. And in the sleight of mouth model, we call that redefine, to redefine something. Doesn't matter how you call that, it is just about calling one thing another thing. Again, a smart move here from Russell. He's calling out, he's going what we call metaframe in this model, going metaframe by commenting on her behavior and putting himself in the role of the observer instead of reacting. He's not going down reacting like a vulnerable person, he's going up above her in that specific phrase by commenting from an external perspective on what she has just done. This allows you to outframe the thing the person wants to get you stuck into. Obviously, there is a lot of emotional self-control going on here without which you just can't think accurately into those situations. You just overreact all the time. When you are emotionally stable enough, I think meditation has a lot to do with this, or any kind of spiritual practices, you just become more able to react in a clever manner instead of being overly emotional and just using stupid facts that people won't believe anyway.
It's just not. It's the truest, the economic model of letting people find success because they're willing to work hard. If you don't want to work hard, you shouldn't be rewarded. I don't believe in that. I don't believe, well, what about the person who doesn't have your drive?
Why should economic systems govern the way that we live our lives? Why is there not room for people to be different? Why is it that a person's value and worth should be distilled into
That's called the natural market. You can't make that go away.
That's not called the natural
Yes, it is.
market.
You can't make that
You've
go
applied
away.
that
No matter
idea
what. Tell me in the history of the world where there hasn't been some give and some take. You can't make that go away. There's no magic wand that you can wave that's going to make human incentives and what happens in humanity go away. Doesn't matter how rich or how poor society is. There's going to be give, there's going to be take. People are going to create natural markets. I have 3 apples, I'll give you 2 apples if you give me this. I mean, that it just happens. This is the way the world works.
Yeah, I appreciate that we have certain natural impulses to trade and to cooperate.
So throughout this argument, this little debate, which was really kind in the end, they didn't want to cut each other's throat or anything. It was smart and polite. But I think the really interesting aspect here is what we call here the model of the world in Sleight of Mouth. Model of the world, because Russel Brand knows so much about why does he stand for those things. He did not just rehearse or repeat like a parrot what he has seen on the media. He really investigated himself, reinvestigated his own reasons for why does he stand for this, why does he think that way. I guess the woman in this example did the same thing. Just by studying the topic, she wanted to figure out a path for herself. He wanted to figure out a path for himself. He studied philosophy, economics, religion, all of those things to figure out what do I personally stand for. People who always get beaten into an argument are people who don't know themselves enough, or they have too many wounds, they have been hurt too many times, and because of all those things they want to hide, they are just like a tough shell. But a tough shell, something solid, will crack. Something malleable and flexible that has been investigated through questioning yourself on what you stand for. By doing that, you become more flexible because you know your deeper values, and then you can argue even without knowing any of that, without knowing the advanced linguistics or debate techniques. You can argue because you know why. And the big thing also is people usually follow a charismatic leader, and they start repeating like a parrot what the charismatic leader has said. Whether you're defending Donald Trump, Andrew Tate, or any person from the left, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they are right or wrong. You will always get beaten in a debate if you just rehearse what somebody else said without investigating it for yourself. People that you find charismatic, that you follow because they have a charismatic voice or whatever, or charismatic ideas, or they are clever, they are people you like, people you follow, people you like listening to because they have investigating themselves enough to know what they stand for and why do they stand for that. So when you start doing that for yourself, you can become yourself somebody that people listen to. And to that extent, Robert Dills had developed another model based on connective words in his book on the strategies of geniuses, I think. He developed that whenever you want to clarify and be able to argue and debate on a topic, elaborate. I stand for what is my opinion, what are my ideas, and you can take inspiration from Russel Brand, from Andrew Tate, from whoever you are following. You can take inspiration, but then question yourself. I stand for free speech, for certain values, for the right, for the left, for whatever, because what? And do you have any sort of reason that is going beyond just yourself? Most people don't. The only reasons why they stand for this or that are personal reasons. It is never global reasons. Personal reasons are the easiest ones to be attacked on because they only stand for yourself. When you can connect what you stand for with other things, then everything becomes easier in a debate. I stand for this so that what is the thing you are trying to accomplish in your life by standing for that? Every time, what is happening for you to believe in that? Every time somebody gets murdered, I want to defend those cases. If you're a lawyer, what is the reason behind that? After I learned that, connect what you stand for with a story. Whenever you can tell a personal story, even if it is personal here, but giving an honest story for why you stand for this will make it easier to defend yourself, to shut down people who want to drag you down, because you can explain in an interesting manner. In the same way that, coming back to what I said about global reasons, what can you connect your opinion with? Can you connect your opinion with philosophy? Can you connect your opinions with rhetoric, with the Greek philosophies, with mathematics, with economics? Whatever is the thing you are studying, connect your reasons to bigger things than just yourself. And even if so, you are acknowledging the potential negative consequences of your opinions. If you are the one who believes that everything he says is always the brightest thing in the world, you will get beaten at one point or another, because there is no such thing as a perfect opinion or a perfect argument. What Russel Brand is saying at some point in this video is, I don't believe my views are being seen into any government or any political field that exists to this day. So he's admitting that his model is not perfect because there is no political field that can make that alive for now. Admitting some pitfalls and some flaws into your argument will also make you more likable, first of all, will make you connect with people more easily, and will make you able to defend your position more easily, because you won't break at the first little fact that is actually contradicting your absolute truth, because there is no absolute truth. Everything is nuanced. If you have enjoyed that, you can download the document in the description. It is called the 7 steps or 7 phases to master sleight of mouth. It will make you understand when you want to defend yourself or persuade others through language. Where do you stand right now? Are you able to do it already? Do you have a few skills but you still get like difficult cases? It will lead you toward the final phase where you know you can argue with anybody at any time and persuade others even covertly to some extent. It is down below, it is for you, and it is free.